Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Jessica Clemons, and this is a breakdown of the 3-episode premiere of Invincible Season 3. It's been 10 months since Mark defeated Angstrom Levy, and now we're picking up, hoping to figure out what those books really mean, just what Angstrom is really going to accomplish, and where the hell are the rest of the Vildermites. Since it's been officially a year, they're probably pissed Mark hasn't assimilated Earth yet, so let's just jump into it scene by scene to see what we can make out, point out all the details you might have missed, and all those little Easter eggs. But first, make sure to check out nerdride.shop where you can find the latest and greatest in New Rockstars merch. We have so much different merch options over there, and I know your New Year's resolution was to wear more nerd stuff, so go ahead, check out nerdride.shop. Get the best of nerd stuff. All right, now let's get into it. Season 3, Episode 1 is titled You're Not Laughing Now, which comes as a direct quote from issue number 48, where Dr. Seismic seizes all the superheroes underground. In the Episode 3 premiere, they're really covering Invincible issues number 48 to 52, almost shot for shot, so if you're interested in skipping ahead or learning a few more things, you can always check out those comics. After the recap, we open with Mark fighting this creature. This is the giant from Season 2 that the Guardians of the Globe took on. He kind of had the mental capacity of an 8-year-old. He said he wanted to be president and an astronaut. I guess he actually is also maybe 8 years old. He's voiced by well-known voice actor Fred Tatasciore, who often plays huge beastly idiots like Groot in What If, Hulk in the animated Avengers. He also played a similar dumb Invincible character, Octobos. Mark's getting stronger. Last time it took all the Guardians to take this dude out. We see the giant's very human-looking parents and learn that the GDA is actually trying to find a cure for his condition while also using the giant to train Mark. We then get Mark's training montage. The song during this montage is Go by the Chemical Brothers. We see how long he can submerge himself in hot lava, how fast he can fly from Earth to the moon and back. He's even lifting an iceberg, the heaviest thing they could find for him to even lift. And then we continue with how Invincible loves to do, that sentence leading into the title card.
When we're through with him, he'll finally live up to the name.
The title card is blue with black writing, the color scheme that the title card slowly transitioned to last season, but then it gets zapped and turns to yellow with blue writing. The title cards are actually really important to Mark's character in the story overall. The first season was blood splatters, which led to this bloody beatdown he got from his father, and in the second season, the red text, symbolizing the scars left on Mark from the first season's finale, peeked through but slowly started to crumble away, eventually revealing to us in a new black and blue card signifying he's evolved and he's learning to just move past it all. As people have mentioned, black and blue is Mark's newer suit he'll receive later, and in the comics, this is a sad and rough part moving forward for Mark, so this costume and title card change isn't particularly positive. Still, it shows us in the show and in Mark's character, he's changing. Now, this might be a little bit of a spoiler for what is coming ahead, so I'll give you 3 seconds to leave for a second, or turn me down, run from your kitchen. I know you're doing laundry, just turn me down for 1 second. As for the yellow zaps for this season's title card and the multiple colorful Invincible tones, I think it has to do with something with the multiverse and different versions of Mark that will be coming soon. This is featured in issue number 58, which leads us into the Invincible War, where Angstrom Levy unleashes a bunch of variant Invincibles on Earth. But, you know, I didn't want to spoil too much, but I think this is just showing that there's more Invincibles coming. Come back, I'm done spoiling. At the end of last season, Mark decided to break things off with Amber and leave college to focus on strengthening himself and becoming more capable of protecting the planet. Donald Ferguson confirms that the dedication is now paying off as Mark's speed, endurance, and strength have increased in the last 90 days. He tells us it's been 3 months since the end of season 2, 3 or 4 months give or take. Cecil reminds us why Mark is doing all of this training in the first place.
The billion-dollar question, then. Did he beat that Vildermite woman who made us all shit our pants 3 months ago?
This was Anessa, who gave Mark a solid beatdown, and as Donald Ferguson points out and warns Mark that someone much worse is on the way.
But soon, another will come. And if he finds you still resistant to your destiny, he will demonstrate the error of your ways, and this whole planet will pay the price.
Cecil tells us that while they are happy to keep training Mark for this battle, they still have other plans. Cecil is too cautious to put the planet's fate in the hands of a half-human, half-Vildermite, especially after Omni-Man's betrayal. Rexplode arrives complaining about his new hand. His old one was bitten off by Komodo Dragon of the Lizard League in season 2, if you remember. His new hand still gives him the ability to create kinetic charges, and in the comics, Rexplode always had a cybernetic implant to develop these powers. We're still unsure where his powers came from in the animated series.
Same ones who cut me open and grafted shit up and down my nervous system.
I'm sorry.
Still, there were some teases in the season 3 trailer that we might eventually get a deeper backstory to Rex, similar to Adam Eve's special after season 1. Now we learn someone is trying to steal the Declaration of Independence, which is the plot to the 2004's National Treasure. I recognize some people watching this might have not even been born yet, so go back and watch National Treasure. It is a national treasure. Mark assumes it's Doc Seismic since he previously had to stop his attacks on Mount Rushmore and the Washington Monument, you know, 2 other national treasures. But Cecil confirms he's still in custody. There appears to be a mole within the GDA GDA alerting people of Mark's movement, which we've got to monitor these moves. We got to keep track of who is monitoring Mark, because it's going to be someone big by the end of the season. I know it's going to be someone horrible. The brothers stealing the Constitution are Dropkick and Fight Master, voiced by Cobra Kai and Blue Beetle's Xolo Maridaña. They debuted in issue number 46 in about the same capacity. I also just don't want to get this person's name wrong because they're a great actor and I want them to do the best in life. Little is known from this interaction, but they're clearly from the future, and stealing the Declaration of Independence is one of their missions. We don't know who they work for or why specifically the Declaration of Independence had to be stolen. Rex tries to play matchmaker between Eve and Mark during this fight, but Mark is probably purposefully avoiding her based on what he learned from future Eve, that she is likely holding a torch for him. Then, to ruin everything, Multi-Paul, voiced by Shimu Liu, shows up. He thinks Rex let his sister die at the hands of the Lizard League and goes in to kill him, causing Duplicate to reveal she's alive and has been in hiding with the Immortal this entire time. Rex then says Kate let Shrinking Ray and him think she was dead, and Shrinking Ray was almost killed when Komodo Dragon swallowed her. In the comic, Shrinking Ray did die from this, but in the series, she has survived and we later learn is ready to fight again. Back with the not so itty bitty Oliver, he lists off John Witherspoon, Oliver Wolcott, George White, 3 of the men who signed the Declaration of Independence and considered the founding fathers because of it. There are a total of 56 men who signed the Declaration of Independence, so it's pretty damn impressive that that little bitty Oliver can name all of them. And he's also not, he's an alien. He's just smart. He knows what he's doing. April Houseman is still acting as nanny for Oliver. Last season, April came clean to Debbie that she was working for Cecil, but made it clear that she cares about overseeing the development of Oliver and his abilities and promised to work for Debbie over Cecil. Also, I like Oliver's 2 front bangs of hair almost look like antennas, calling back to his insectoid Thraxan heritage. You can also see on the table that the Korean wedding ducks are still there. And if you don't remember the wooden ducks, in short, their traditional Korean wedding ducks are gifts during marriage, and the writers wanted us to see these ducks throughout Debbie and Nolan's discourse. We saw it in season 2, episode 2, and it could have been gifted to Nolan and Debbie during their wedding. She eventually points the beaks apart, which shows that the marriage isn't going well, that they're unhappy in their marriage. Later, she breaks the duck over Angstrom Levy's head, the pink bowed one to be specific, representing herself and symbolizing she's done with her love for Nolan, this marriage is broken, and she must protect her family even alone. We know the GDA has rebuilt Debbie and Mark's house and the things inside of it at least twice now, and we'll later see that the house across the street has still not been rebuilt from Nolan's destruction at the end of season 1. It's been nearly a year and a half. Cecil rebuilt that house. I'm complaining about the wrong thing. Regardless, these new ducks have returned, beaks facing apart still, showing that Debbie nevertheless sees the marriage as unhappy. Mark and Oliver play catch, something Mark and Nolan used to do, and Mark wants to be a good role model for Oliver, who talks about his new suit design and reveals he can now fly. The same scene was also seen in the comics. Donald has been tracking over 300 geological events around the country, though with Doc Seismic still in custody, they're not sure what it all means yet. But Donald and Cecil also know that Oliver is now flying. We then see William and Rick, and they're still dating. Rick Sheridan was a victim of D.A. Sinclair and was turned into a reaniman with cybernetic implants before being rehabbed by the GDA. However, he's still feeling the effects on his heart, which, oh, don't hurt this boy. Mark and Eve catch up in Eve's treehouse. I wish I had this house. Eve asked about Debbie's arm, which was broken by Angstrom Levy, and Mark finally asked Eve out. Took 3 seasons. Took him breaking up, almost dying, losing his parents, and he finally asked Eve out. Mark does a really dumb thing and tells Eve about what future Eve said, and rightfully this complicates everything. Oliver tries to sneak out of the house later after he hears Cecil talk about the other heroes being in trouble, and he's basically wearing the same outfit that Mark first wore when he started being a superhero. Mark also snuck out when he first got his powers to try them out. We see Doc Seismic has trapped the heroes in an underground lair with lava flowing. Very evil, sinister stuff. He's allied with Magmanites, so it makes sense that he would have a lair down here. He's been using some sort of giant spider to trap the heroes in these web sacks. Trapped in the bubbles, we see a lot of returning superheroes. The current Guardian of the Globes, the Immortal, Robot, Monster Girl, Rexplode, Bulletproof, Black Samson, Shrinking Ray, and Shapesmith are there. But in season 1, episode 3, after the original Guardians of the Globe were all killed by Omni-Man, Cecil had tryouts for a new team, and a lot of these people from the tryouts are in these bubbles. During that episode, Mark names Demigod, Shrapnel, Burly, Pangea, and Bug-Eye. They were unique to the show and not from the comics. There was also Man-Kong. He looked like a giant ape, but I don't think we see him here. Adam Eve in that episode fought a big muscly character named The Hunk. She laid his ass out during the fight, and you can see him right here. This guy we see at the Guardian superhero tryouts, one of them who did not make the team, clearly. We saw this dude at tryouts as well. This woman is Throwbolt. She fought Black Samson at the tryouts. This horned helmet guy was also there at the tryouts. Also, half purple head man in a suit was at tryouts, along with this person, and this person, and this person looks like the buff Haley Joel Osment from the tryouts. This lady and the red cape dude were also there, and the guy that looks like One Punch Man. Doc Seismic then says this.
For you are all dust, and to dust you shall return!
God said this to Adam in Genesis 3:19, but Seismic twisted it so it's up. Along with the giant spiders, worms, and giant centipede, the magma knights show up. Cecil then mentions a dark room, and we know the GDA has a white room where they hide things from the public, and we'll see later that the dark room is where Cecil keeps his secret Reaniman army that he had DA Sinclair build, which was teased last season. Darkwing 2 shows up. So the original Darkwing, a Batman parody clearly, was killed by Omni-Man in the pilot. After his death, Nightboy, a Robin parody, took up his mantle, becoming Darkwing 2. He turned psycho and started straight up murdering criminals until he was stopped by Invincible. So I guess Cecil has been rehabilitating him as well. Mark is healing super fast now. The gaping chest hole he had is already starting to close by the time he gets to Cecil. Mark's anger is really building here, something that scared him at the end of season 2, something we'll see growing in Oliver by the end of the 3-episode premiere. He's always afraid of not being able to control his anger and becoming his father, and here he doesn't seem to recognize his building rage even though everyone is asking him to calm down. Cecil has a photo of Donald Ferguson on his bookshelf, a man who has died for him, and he has rebuilt many times. What a sweetheart. I'm pretty sure the other guy is Director Radcliffe, who we meet in the next episode. Cecil argues that people should be allowed to be rehabilitated no matter their actions. He's trying to utilize their abilities for good and allow them to make restitution. Cecil does say that Darkwing and DA Sinclair went through severe psychological reprogramming. Whether that was voluntary or against their will, we just don't know yet. Cecil's determined to defend the planet from all threats, including Mark, but the question will always be, do the ends justify the means? Cecil also mentions that the Reanimen are just made from donated corpses, so I guess that's good? That sounds horrible still. Cecil brings up Mark killing Angstrom Levy, or did he? You never know. Mark is more aggressive than he usually is, perhaps a result of him getting stronger and more sure of his abilities. We see the White Room again, and Cecil's Reanimen hidden in there to protect him from Mark. I don't know if I like Cecil anymore. And we get this mid-credit scene. Alan the alien and Nolan are still communicating via Alan's telepathic implant. A reminder that Alan is still able to have direct and private telepathic conversations with one individual at a time. The last we saw Nolan, he was beginning to think he missed his wife. And Alan and Nolan have been bonding as Alan tries to win him over to his cause of fighting back against the Viltrumite Empire. As the Viltrumites keep trying to dissect Alan, he keeps getting stronger. And this leads us into episode 2. So season 3, episode 2 is titled A Deal with the Devil. And this line is a line that Cecil said at the end of Invincible issue number 50. After meeting Omni-Man for the first time and recognizing he's probably the world's most significant threat, but as of right now, right then and there, he would protect the planet. And Cecil cares more about the safety of everyone on the planet and was willing to use whatever Omni-Man had than care about his true motives, which yes, is a really stupid strategy, but realistically, he's also already on Earth. What are you gonna do? Shoo away Superman? Shoo away one of the strongest beings in the universe? No thank you. We immediately see this guy selling fresh fish, which is a flashback of when Cecil was still a fresh fish of the GDA. You get it? Because the slang meaning of fresh fish is like someone who's brand new, a freshman or a new inmate, which is absolutely what Cecil is in this flashback. This video is sponsored by Helix Sleep. Helix is running an awesome sale right now for a limited time only, so it's perfect time to upgrade your mattress. Visit helixsleep.com/newrockstars for more information. Helix offers 20 unique mattresses, including the award-winning Luxe and Ultra Premium Elite collections, Helix Plus for big and tall sleepers, and the Helix Kid mattresses. Finding your perfect mattress is so easy thanks to Helix's sleep quiz. Just answer a few questions and you'll get a mattress that's perfect firmness and temperature for you. Helix offers financing options and flexible payment plans so you can get your mattress as soon as possible. And they have a 100-night sleep trial so you get more than 3 months to make sure that you love your mattress you get. Plus, every mattress has 10-year warranty. Helix delivers your mattress straight to your door with free shipping in the US, and the mattress comes rolled up in a box and is super easy to set up yourself. I love my Helix, and I think you would too. If you're looking for a new bed, check out Helix Sleep. Their President's Day early access sale is running now for a limited time, and it's a great time to upgrade your mattress. Visit helixsleep.com/newrockstars to get 20% off your mattress plus 2 free pillows. And check out the Helix site later this month for an exclusive partner offer. As you can see, his face is really young and it's lacking that infamous scar. It's gonna show up soon in a really grotesque way. This whole flashback sequence is taken from the comic issue number 50, At Long Last, The Secret Origin of Cecil Stedman. In the comics, these two villains refer to themselves as the Order of the Freeing Fist. However, according to the credits here, the guy is Force Fist and the woman is Knucklebuster, voiced by Carrie Walgren, who is also doing the voice of Aunt May on Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man. Check out our breakdowns in the break room for that. The chunk of skin that falls off Cecil's face right before they cut is a piece they saved and grafted back onto him with artificial skin. Now, I don't even know if I can show this scene because even though it's an animated cartoon, he is melting and all you see are eyeballs and it is horrible. When we see Cecil next, he's alive, and Director Radcliffe is the current head of the GDA. You could see his photo on the shelf in Cecil's office last episode, along with Donald's. Cecil is Radcliffe's protege. Komodo Dragon from the Lizard League attacks the Pentagon, and a reminder that this is the guy who almost killed Shrinking Ray and bit off Rex's hand. Radcliffe rehabilitated the Free and Fist duo and is using them just like Cecil does now with Darkwing 2 and Sinclair, except back then, Cecil was pissed about it, just like Mark was. I love how this title card also turns out after Cecil shoots the two, he does this.
I don't work with criminals. Not even if they're...
Because Mark will be a criminal to Cecil by the end of this episode. Not even by the end, by the middle of this episode. This time, the title card starts yellow and blue and then zaps to a light blue and gray combo, different from the blue and black from the first episode. Mark gets a new blue and black suit by the third episode also. Could this dulled version of the blue and black represent Cecil, who at this point thought just like Mark and behaved as reckless to protect everyone? It's a possibility. I'm just saying, if the zaps meant different versions of Invincible, this could be a different version of Invincible that's Cecil, or like spiritually, metaphorically. Cecil is like young Mark. This is probably Stronghold Penitentiary, the prison Cecil was put in the comics. Some of the graffiti also on the wall is very funny. On the second floor, there's no regrets, tag where the A's are the anarchy symbols, plus a wall of those super cool S's you did in middle school. The song playing here is I Ain't the One by Spoon. It time jumps and everything is cleaned up. There's no more graffiti and filth. And in the comics, this turnaround and Radcliffe's visit happened months later. Here we learn it's been 3 years. Then we get this line.
You can be the good guy, or the guy who saves the world. You can't be both.
Years later, this is the same thing Cecil says. Back with Mark, Mark snaps at the idea of Cecil needing protection from him and sort of proves Cecil's point. Cecil then uses this frequency that messes up Mark's mind and reminds Mark of the sea creature from Atlantis. In season 2, episode 2, Mark fought a giant sea kaiju called the Depth Dweller. When it shrieked, its sound waves physically hurt Mark, and at the time, Cecil told the guys at the GDA, get him a recording of the noise so they could study and weaponize it. My boy. Sometimes I believe in Cecil. Sometimes I want to, and then he proves me wrong. Mark rushes to the Guardians to try and get their help getting the earpiece out of his head, and the Guardians side with Mark, probably seeing themselves as vulnerable as Mark since they too could be perceived as threats as powered individuals. Rex blows up Cecil's hand with the controller in it, which had a dead man switch, meaning if their control is destroyed, the weapon just stays on, and it did, killing Mark. But luckily, Robot shuts down the noise and Mark's good to go. Later, Mark tells Oliver not to rush to get his powers, and in season 1, Mark was so eager to get his powers and so happy when he finally did, and since then, it's all gone to shit. Mark and Eve chat and have a heart-to-heart on his roof, and Mark and his mom have the same kind of like heart-to-heart on the roof at the end of season 2, episode 8. Mark was beaten up then too. Back at the Guardian base, Rex says they should have never quit Team. That was the team most of them were on before the original Guardians of the Globe got killed by Omni-Man. Then this crew showed up for the tryouts and became the new Guardians. The Guardians start talking about how they're just weapons for Cecil, and then a split begins to form. The Immortal, Duplicate, Black Samson, and Shapesmith stay with the Guardians. Rex, Monster Girl, Shrinking Ray, Rudy and Robot, and Bulletproof all leave. Shapesmith says Cecil let him live after what he did on Mars, and as a reminder, he was a Martian who assumed the shape of the US astronaut and hitched a ride to Earth. The astronaut stayed on Mars and was infected by the Sequids. The Sequids basically took over Mars and put all the heroes in a shit ton of danger. Also, this is the kind of good lesson that sometimes Cecil giving people a second chance works out, because Shapesmith did become a hero after all of this. Mark tells Will and Rick that D.A. Sinclair is still alive and Cecil has been working with him, and then he's like, whoopsies, I probably shouldn't have said that, as Rick starts to spiral. And that's hilarious, Mark. Great, now he's gonna get himself killed looking for that man eventually. I know Rick is gonna retaliate and I don't want him to. Also, I love this moment between Black Samson and Rudy. Black Samson knows he's not leaving just because of Amanda, aka Monster Girl. Rudy lays it out plain. Invincible is the strongest hero on the planet, and it benefits him to keep him on his good side. See, he's thinking right. Better than Cecil, everybody else. You want this guy on your good side because eventually he could destroy the planet. Debbie is now on a date with Paul, a fellow real estate agent. He mentions the pasta isn't as good as Italy pasta, and this is a reminder that Nolan used to fly to Italy and bring back food for Debbie sometimes. Sometimes he would fly Debbie there for vacation. Debbie's drinking wine, which isn't like too big to note, but just remember she developed a bit of a drinking problem after Nolan tried to kill everyone, but it looks like she's gotten it under control now. Debbie mentions the gas explosion, and the gas explosion is the cover story they came up with for whatever happened to their house in the block that got destroyed. Eve's going to school to be an architect, and if you don't remember, Eve had used her powers to build a city playground that collapsed because she built it on unstable ground, and her dad told her she's not an architect, so she's studying up now because she had a ton of guilt about the the incident. Back with Cecil, he asks the remaining Guardians to give Darkwing a chance, and the Immortal is all for it. Donald later questions if this is even a good idea based on his murderous past in Midnight City, but Cecil sees everything practically. We flash back to Cecil's first day as the director of the GDA, and I love that Donald looks pretty much the same. Donald introduces himself and says,
"Welcome to the GDA. My name is Donald Ferguson. I'll be your number one."
Which is funny because this is the first Donald Ferguson, the number one, if you will. He will die and be rebuilt like 39 more times, as we learned last season. We also see Nolan's first arrival on the planet wearing his standard Viltrumite garb. Donald says the protocol is to let the Immortal make contact first, but Cecil wants to do it himself. Nolan then says he's from Viltrum and was sent to protect the planet, but Cecil immediately knew this was suspect. From day one, he worked on countermeasures against Nolan. Cut back to present day, and he repeats the line from Director Radcliffe.
We can be the good guys, or we can be the guys that save the world. We can't be both.
Then we get another mid-credit scene. Eve meets Mark on the Verrazano Narrows Bridge, where he says that his recent experience with the sound weapon showed him that his feelings for Eve are real. And for Eve, this feels real enough. Not just Mark being persuaded by future Eve and feeling obligated, and they kiss under the moonlight. Then we go to episode 3. Season 3, episode 3 is titled, You Want a Real Costume, Right? This episode follows Invincible issue number 51 in the comics and showcases Oliver's powers, the new suits, and Teen Team getting back together. We open at a bank listening to really sad music when the two men explode through the wall. On the right is Tether Tyrant, who we last saw in season 2 episode 1, and on the left is Mag Maniac, who appeared in the same episode as Tether Tyrant. They were both bodyguards to Machine Head. The two live together. I think they're actually a couple. Pretty sure they're a couple, which wasn't really explored this way in the comics, but I really like the switch up here. They don't want to be bad guys, but they also have to survive. Tyrant recognizes a help wanted sign on the Greasy Spoon, and this is also just a name they give cheap diners sometimes, a greasy spoon. As their rank goes up, they're denied jobs at the gardening store, car wash, and convenience stores. Times are clearly getting harder for these two now that they aren't criminals and just trying to exist as everyday Joes. They're fired from the Greasy Spoon, and with nowhere to go or work, they decide to rob the same bank again. And this time, however, they're stopped by Mark. They get the upper hand until Mark's little brother Oliver steps in to help, and Mark gets the upper hand then when Tether Tyrant stops and notices he got Oliver, a little child he doesn't want to harm. After that, Amber runs into Eve on campus, and this is our first time seeing Amber this season, and we learn Amber is talking to this boy named Kyle, who I assume is the college guy we met a while back that invited Amber to the frat party. So now we learn Multi-Paul is still in prison, and Master Liu is unhappy about it. He's complained to Titan and Isotope about how Machine Head had rules and promises that Titan must fulfill or stand by, and keeping Multi-Paul out of prison, I guess, was one of them. As you may remember, Titan, with the help of Invincible, the Guardians of the Globe, and Isotope, defeated Machine Head, and Titan took over the organization and became the new crime boss. The Order Master Liu refers to from the comics was a team of villains with Isotope, Machine Head, and Multi-Paul, and it looks like we're bringing them into the show as the same villainy gang, just with different members. Mark is training Oliver and teaching him to fly faster. This exact scene happens in Invincible issue number 51. He's like his dad when he was training Mark. Then they're getting Oliver a suit, which resembles the one from the comics, and he says the same line here.
Kid Omni-Man is here!
And Invincible gets his new black and blue suit, and it only goes south from here, trust me. Now with a prison break where Multi-Paul is, Furnace and Krusk, who we haven't seen since season 1 episode 5, are causing mayhem. After saving the day, Oliver is repeatedly scolded for reacting before thinking. All the while, Debbie reveals on her date with Paul who Mark and Omni-Man are, and that's a bad move, Debs. Paul could easily be that guy from the first episode that he was like, hey, Mark is going over here. I don't think Paul's great. I think Paul's bad, but I also don't trust anyone with Debbie because the last man broke her heart. The Mauler twins show up breaking into this military base. This is when we start leaning into issue number 52, which opens with the Mauler twins taking over the nuclear military base and the Guardians not really doing a good job fighting them off. While they get their butts kicked, they're playing Run the Jewels Blockbuster Night. The song is made for honestly any TV or movie scene that's of this caliber. It's almost too cinematic. We learn through the news this is the same nuclear missile silo that the Lizard League attacked. Mark shows up to help, and Oliver quickly runs into assist right after him. Oliver begins taking on the Mauler twins and doing a really good job, but distracted, they get the upper hand on Mark. Mark is screaming for Oliver to get out in a very protective brother way, though it's not enough, and the Mauler twins set off the missile. Mark speeds to the sky to stop the bomb while Oliver takes on the Mauler twins. Oliver knocks the jaw off of one of them and explodes through the other, straight through him like a bullet, and I don't even think I can show this on YouTube. He then smashes through the other one's chin, exploding his head. He's literally a mini Omni-Man. Right after swiftly murdering these two, overly angry and full of adrenaline, he quickly apologizes, saying it was an accident. To the rest of the team, they're shook, but Cecil ain't surprised. This is until Mark comes in and chokes the crap out of him until he learns what Oliver actually did. Oliver doesn't understand the damage he did killing the Mauler twins, and it feels like he's using his dad's justification.
It's not precious. People kill each other all the time, and most people aren't even special like us. They're just normal.
I do love your mother, but she's more like a pet to me.
When he goes off on Mark, he's very set in his ways, and this path ain't a good one to be going down. Now back at home, him and Eve are about to go on their first date, and he's always so used to feeling bad, running to save the day, forcing him to be late or just never show up to things, but Eve reminds him it's okay, she knows this life. He vents to Eve about Oliver and everything that happened, unsure what to do next. When having a heart-to-heart with Oliver outside the window, Mark finds this similar floating orb that was watching him and Eve talk earlier. Surprise, surprise, it belongs to Angstrom Levy! Big brain, monster looking Angstrom Levy is back, and he's monitoring Mark? We don't see his face, but he's confirmed in the credits. Now, with Angstrom Levy coming back, maybe this is a different version. If the multiverse is truly at our disposal, is he watching Mark from Mark's universe or from a different one? There's a lot of moving parts now, and we've got the GDA forming a new Guardians of the Globe, a teen team kind of being back, Debbie telling the world her family secrets, and we still don't know when those Viltrumites are coming back. And what's really worse, Angstrom or the Viltrumites? Honestly, at this point, I don't really know. Hopefully we can explore more of this plan next week with episode 4. Comment down below your thoughts on the 3-episode premiere of Invincible. Honestly, it just stressed me out at the end. I want to thank Gina, Ippolito, and Brandon Barrick for really taking the reins on writing this one. They wrote like 90% of it. They are my Adam Eve and my Debbie. Guess which one's which? Follow me at Lulu_Clemons. Subscribe to all 3 channels in the new Rockstars network. Make sure to check out the break room where we actually will be covering a little bit of Invincible. We're also going to be talking about your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I only put those 2 together because animation and Carrie Walgreens in both. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.